everyone, to day 31 of Vibe Coding an App Until I Make $1 million. For all of you that were watching yesterday for day 30, we had a bit of a longer stream. I think it was 4.5 hours, and we're actually going to be doing the same thing today. So I'm changing up the stream schedule a little bit essentially because we're making so much progress and because this project has so much potential. I'm going to start working on it more. We're starting to see some success. So with that being said, yesterday we made a ton of progress. So just to do a quick recap, let's go and just take a look at our dashboard. We have a very complete dashboard now, and we built the logic for our subscription logic. And yesterday we were very focused in on our Stripe integration with our webhooks. So essentially when we integrate with Stripe, it needs to do several things. For example, being able to add credits to the user's account when they subscribe to a specific subscription. And also something that we were working on yesterday, let me sign out real quick of this account so I can show you guys essentially what we were working on yesterday, but we were really working on the sign up process. So we decided that what we're gonna have is we're gonna have 3 different subscription types. So we have the basic, you have the pro, and then you have the ultra. And how we're gonna do this is essentially because of credits and the fact that there is a pretty hefty expense to actually providing this service because of image generation, content generation, the integration with different APIs to provide the service. We can't really offer free trials, for example, for the Pro or the Ultra, because let's say if 100 people sign up for those free trials and get all those credits, they're essentially going to be freeloading. And that's fine, we want users, but what we ended up deciding is that basic is going to be essentially the free trial. So if people want to have a free trial, they can choose basic. And to show you guys that, essentially when you click start free trial, it automatically sets you to basic, but you can change that, and that's where you select pro or ultra. And then also on the pricing page, it's reflected there, since with basic, you can start a free trial, and then there's just start now, and you'll be charged immediately if you start those plans. So we made a ton of progress because essentially, hold on, give me 1 second, guys. Just stop the music. But we were working on that yesterday, and we got it working flawlessly, which was great. This sign-up process, I'll just go through the flow so you guys can all see it. So here's what it looks like. Let's say, let's just sign up with Bridgemind Apps. I gotta do a plus 17, I think. All right, so you do create account. So it creates your account and it sends a verification email. So let me find that email real quick. But yeah, welcome back to the stream, everybody. I'm really excited to work today. We are going to, once again, make a ton of progress. I think I'm going to be doing about another 4 to 5 hour stream again today, just because I don't want to slow down. We want to continue the progress that we're making, so I don't want to slow down at all. Also, if you're just joining in the stream, welcome. Make sure that you guys like the stream and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm just gonna give everybody a nice little welcome. All right, just sent out a little message, but yeah, welcome everybody. Let me do a couple things on my end to make sure that everything's smooth and operational. I'm gonna send out a couple links, but let me show you this little demo here. So this is the biggest part that we were working on yesterday, was the subscription logic, and we had a couple issues with the Stripe element. I think yesterday we had a bug that we were troubleshooting for maybe about an hour. And, we were trying to see, hey, is it an issue with our webhooks? Is it an issue with, a couple of these other conditions that we were investigating? But what it ended up being is an issue with our front end. So we solved that. And now if I take this and I just do, we're using a test credit card. So if I just do this here, 4 2s, and then this has to be 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3, 1 2 3 4 5. So that's a test credit card. And then we do start free trial. Essentially what happens is there's gonna be like some confetti effect, and then it redirects to the dashboard. And what's cool is that you guys can see that it actually credited my account with 100 credits, because that's how many credits you get if you sign up for a basic plan. So that was one thing that we were working on yesterday, because that's not easy. You have to create webhooks, you have to be able to set it all up locally and get it running. A pretty challenging feature, so to be able to get that and get it working just does feel really good. So let me send out a couple messages on my end, and then we're going to get started, guys. So bear with me here. All right. Okay, sorry, give me 1 second, guys. I'm doing something on my end. But let's go back to the home page of the website, because something that I was working on as well is this blog functionality. So if you guys remember, that was something that we worked on, and something that's really important that we're gonna have to work on as well is building in the SEO logic. So I actually did build in logic for Next Sitemap, and if you guys are familiar with Next Sitemap, essentially what happens is, if I just pull up a terminal here, I'll show you guys what the build process looks like. Let's see here. All right, so, all right. All right, give me 1 second. So next sitemap. Let's pull up a terminal here. There it is. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. Sunday, September 14th, gonna be a great day. Okay, so our blogs, we were working on this yesterday, and we're gonna work on this as well a little bit today, just for our, our SEO purposes. But something that I want to jump into that is really important is our auth system. So something that I'm gonna start a conversation with ChatGPT about is we want to think through, hey, should we switch our auth system over to Auth or something like that? Instead of having our auth system that we've built currently. So let's think through this. Help me think through the advantages and drawbacks of having a auth system like the one that I have currently versus integrating with something like Auth or AWS Cognito. Help me think through what I should do. Help me make a decision. Okay, so we're gonna think through, hey, should we actually consider changing our auth system before we launch to use something like AWS Cognito instead of instead of essentially what we had before, which is just a Auth system that we've built. Kovu said, what should we do with a new source code before starting coding? What do you mean? All right. If you guys are just tuned into the stream, make sure that you like the stream. We're gonna be going for about 4 hours, 4 to 5 hours today, so it's gonna be a good one. All right, so let's see what it said. So it's saying, so we are using NestJS WT with HTTP Argon code as world guards. Here's a focus comparison and recommendation. I don't like the user profile being in local storage, but we'll take a look at that. So custom, you have the pros of having custom is that you have full control, which is very true. Zero vendor lock-in, low cache cost, easier to tailor UX, efficient for small email plus password, easier data model control, no migration risk. Cons, ongoing security upkeep, MFA, breach detection, device session revocation, refresh rotation, bot protection, more work for social login, SSO, compliance burden. So the pros of setting up Auth is fast path to social login, which that's definitely a benefit. So when it says social login, it's talking about, essentially, okay. All right, sorry guys, I'm doing something on my end. So the recommendation from Cursor is to stay with the existing Auth system and harden it. You get speed and control without a costly migration. Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, some good points from Cursor here. So if it's going to be an enterprise level application, it recommends, hey, use Auth or Cognito for sure. But hey, since we're just trying to get to market, we don't necessarily need that. Which is interesting to think about. All right. Okay, so let's take a look at the app. I definitely don't like I did not know that the user profile was being stored in local storage. So let's take a look at it. So local storage here. Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that. So we're probably going to make some changes to our auth system. We're going to harden it. So what Cursor recommends is, hey, don't switch all the way over to use. Yeah, it does. It says, hey, don't use Auth or Cognito at this point, but definitely consider just hardening the current system. So okay. Please help me think about the existing auth system, as currently it is not going to satisfy the security requirements that are needed, as this app needs to be secure. So please first, let's start with the user profile being in local storage, and help me rethink that. I don't like the user profile being in local storage. I actually want it to be in the Redux store. And okay, hold up, let me think. I've done a pretty secure auth system before, and I just want to think quickly before I dive right in. So we have this VC user, which is a local object that's being stored in local storage. Another issue that I see is that the access token is also being stored in local storage, which is also an issue. Up to this point, we used it because we just wanted to get our application off the ground. But ultimately, that's going to need to change. So let me think about this. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. We need to think about this for a minute. The first thing that we need to do for sure is we need to update the token to not be in local storage for sure. So let's do that first. Right now, the access token being stored in local storage is not the best practice. Obviously, this is not secure at all. So I need you to take a look at this functionality and think through your approach. We need to improve the security of the existing authentication system. Obviously, having a JWT token in local storage is a terrible strategy. What it really needs to be is a cookie that is a secure cookie with best practices that's generated on the API, and that users will then, they'll include this cookie in their requests, obviously, so that they can get authenticated. So please review this existing implementation and help me properly integrate the update so that when users log in or sign up, that this token is generated and the cookie is given to them. and then on returning requests, it'll provide this cookie. Think through your approach. Take a look at the existing auth system. Let's start with the backend, and then we will think about other things. But let's just start with that. Look at the existing implementation and gain an understanding for what we're currently doing, and then make a plan for what needs to be updated and what the best practice and approach is for the steps to update that in the best way is. Okay, so we are going to use Tracer for this. So let's go over, and I'm going to do Tracer on this one, and we're going to do a Tracer plan. I'm going to pass it in, and I'm going to send this off. Give me 1 second. I'm going to grab a glass just so I can get some orange juice. I'll be back. Tracer is pretty useful. Okay, let's see here. All right, so we use Tracer, get a plan here, and then pass it in. But as you guys can see, something when building auth systems to really understand is, hey, you can't mess around with them. A lot of people do integrate directly with, they'll integrate directly with something like Auth or AWS Cognito, but sometimes that's actually not the best approach. So definitely something to think about is, hey, how do you balance security of your application with, noting that, hey, you need to launch the app, you need to launch your product. So if we've already created, an existing auth system, it's smart to, just start with local code and then, move in a different direction as needed. Okay. All right. All right, so perfect. Okay, so this is actually exactly what I wanted. So it's going to add a get me endpoint, which is going to be able to return the data when we need it. Okay, yeah, it's perfect. All right. So let's copy this in, paste it in. So Tracer did a really good job thinking through our existing system and getting us to a point where we can just paste in that. All right. Sorry guys, I just pulled up chat, so All right, Oren said, are you using paid cursor or not? I am using, I have an ultra plan. Kovu said, I mean, that we need to define rules. What kind of rules we need to write? What do you mean? Zuhaib, how's it going? Rob, what's up? Welcome. Doom said that Auth, Firebase for Auth. Edit Z, welcome. How's it going? Hope you're doing okay. Doom said that he uses Firebase and Convex for the database. Okay. Jabez said use better Auth. I'm not sure why my chat isn't showing on my end. That's so weird. Usually it shows. Yeah, that's weird. But yeah, I just pulled up chat, guys. Sorry. It was, I was like, why is everybody so quiet? But I guess not. It was just an error on my end. But yeah, welcome to the stream, guys. So something that we're going to need to do is we're just going to, for now, we're going to build the auth system locally. And that was what Cursor suggested is, hey, just build this locally and then launch it locally, and then you'll be able to migrate it to anywhere you need. Because when you set up something like AWS Cognito or Auth, you know, there is some setup involved. So that's definitely one thing to think about. Okay. Rob said that I'm probably good for now. Firebase, like Doom said, is a nice free cloud option. I think you can use MemoryDB and store the cookie is an easy way too. I think, yeah. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to have an auth me route. And essentially what happens is we're going to have it in our, we're going to have like auth guards on our API and then auth guards on our front end, so that every time that a user accesses the application or they're using the application, you know, it's going to hit this auth route. So for example, you know, you're going to use your Redux store, and there's going to be essentially an auth slice or a user slice that has this logic in it where if the user object is empty, it's going to try and make a request to this route. You can see that it looks like, yeah, right here. So literally while I was doing it, it created exactly what I wanted. So auth service, auth slice, you can see that it removed the local storage from that, which is good. We didn't want to use that local storage approach. It needs to be in cookies. So that's good. Auth hydrator is, it looks like a, that's interesting. Okay. So we'll be able to use this. It dispatches the set user action so it can hydrate the user object. So that's good. So yeah, I mean, this looks pretty good. The question is will this work? You know, or is this going to mess up quite a few things? We'll see. Only time will tell. We'll test it out. But also, one thing that we need to do is we need to improve our logging system and our rate limiting system, because I don't want to get, you know, attacked. I don't want people just hammering the API. So we'll test this, see how it works. But yeah, if you guys are just tuning in, make sure that you like the stream. Subscribe if you haven't already. Yesterday, believe it or not, we actually had our most successful stream of the series. You know, I'm very interested in data and just looking at analytics and stuff. And it's interesting to see just that, like yesterday, for example, usually the streams will get about 60 hours of watch time. And the one yesterday got 190. So, you know, 3x is pretty impressive. So really appreciate the support, guys. Obviously, I think that like some things that really help support the channel is when you guys are engaged in chat, when you guys are recommending things, helping me out. That helps the algorithm. Liking the stream obviously helps the algorithm. So anything that you guys can do to, you know, just be more engaged, I think that actually it makes it more enjoyable for me, because, you know, we're engaged, we're all working together. It's pretty cool. Prasad Campbell said hello. How's it going? Welcome to the stream, Prasad. But yeah, you know, it's just this journey is pretty cool. You know, I don't think I'm going to be stopping anytime soon. That's all I got to say. Okay. If you guys are just tuning in, make sure that you like and subscribe and let me know what you're up to in chat. Ask any questions. I'm going to be, I've got chat pulled up for at the start of the stream. For some reason, it was like frozen on my end. It looks like it still is. I'm not sure why, but I've got it pulled up on my other computer. Prasad said, love your idea, bro. New subscriber here. Thank you, Prasad. That's what I like to hear. Okay, so it added a API user's me root guarded by JWT auth guard. Returns the ID, email is verified in roles from the JWT. Hardened cookies with HTTP perfect, so it's secure cookies. Optional domain. Updated UI to use API user's me and removed all local storage persistence. Okay, so let's go here and let's launch incognito tab. Actually, we're gonna have to find what other incognito tab is open on my computer so I can shut that down. Where is it? Oh, it's this one right here. All right, so let's shut this down. Let's launch a new incognito tab and let's pull this up and then let's do sign in and then we're just gonna sign in with Bridgemind apps plus I think 17 is good and then let's see here. All right, so our auth system does still work, but the question is, hey, is our persistence good? Refresh, 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 refresh. So if we go to our API now, we should be seeing, like, for example, if we go to like a page, like this page, we should be seeing, here, let's pull up F12 again. So in our localhost now, you guys can see that now the only thing in localhost is the sidebar collapsed, which is what we do want in localhost. And then in cookies, we have our, we have this here. We have our VC access token. So this is what holds our JWT token. So that looks great. Now the question is hey, like for example, this dashboard, you shouldn't be able to access the dashboard unless you are authenticated. On the front end, you should not be able to access any of the dashboard pages unless you are authenticated. So please review the logic for this and build a best practice solution for the logic to make sure that on the front end here that these pages are auth guarded. All right. So how can we just do new or wait, hold up. All right, perfect. We executed that. Show conversation. Okay, so now I'm gonna do this. All right, submit that. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Let's see here. So we're gonna pass this in. Looks like that didn't submit, my bad. All right. So I just want this auth guarded so that users can't access the dashboard unless they're actually authenticated. So that should be pretty simple. I've done that on multiple projects before, so should be able to get that working. Let's see here. All right. Getting a nice plan here. Okay, let's see here. Rob said, yeah, auth guards on all services and you should be Gucci. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And another thing to think about too is don't forget your role guards. Those are equally as important. Role guards are very important. So for example, you have your auth guard. Users, when they do sign up, they are just by default, given their, okay, this is still thinking. Okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so when users sign up, they're given the role that they're a creator is what I call it. So they're given the creator role. But there should be other permissions. Like for example, if you guys remember yesterday when we were working on the create blog, so the create blog, this is something that we created, and we could put it in something like another domain and just auth guard that domain. But honestly, for MVP, it's not necessary. I don't want to have to manage another AWS Amplify service with another project essentially. So for now, we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Oh, what did I do? No, show conversation. I'm all like, hold on. I'm like not good enough yet at, hold up. Okay, show the conversation. So this is tracer. So plan generated. No. We already. Hold on, let's start fresh. All right, we'll just start fresh. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Right now we're working with Tracer, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to update our auth system because, since this product is more sensitive in terms of, hey, you do have some sensitive APIs and routes that if people do get a hold of them and they can figure out how to abuse them, then you are kind of a little bit in trouble in terms of, hey, your expenses are going to go through the roof. So, that's one thing that we're mindful of right now, and I want to be careful with. So that's why we're taking a look at our auth system right now. And what I've decided is that, hey, while we're not going to be, we're not going to use OAuth or AWS Cognito, but we are going to improve our existing auth system. And I think that will be good enough. After talking to Cursor, that's what sounds like we should do. So we're going to do that. All right. Hold on. One thing I want to fix is in the nav bar, please make sure that when the user is hovering over links, that their cursor is a pointer. All right, also something that we need to do is rate limiting. I don't know how good our current implementation for rate limiting actually is. And what we need to do is we need to build a guard for rate limiting, and then we're going to build a decorator for it so that we can just easily, for any routes that need rate limiting, we can throw a rate limiter on there. Usually on Nest applications, sometimes you'll throw a rate limiter on like the root of the API, so that way that people that are running like scripts, like script kids or script kits or whatever it's called, is it like script bunnies? I remember a team that I worked on at Bright Choice. Well, I didn't just work on the team; I did lead the team. At Bright Choice, some of our engineers, would be talking about, because we were getting hit with some pretty heavy scripts that were very malicious. They're trying to get our environment variables and stuff, but we were pretty locked down. It was a HIPAA compliant application, so. Script kitties, yeah, that's what it is. Script kitties, yeah. Dan said kittens. Wait, is it kittens or kitties? Yeah, what do you guys think of the project? I mean, yesterday we made so much progress with the sign-up process and everything that we were doing. Wait, why is this still not a pointer? See this? Not a pointer. You know what I think we need to do? I think we need to use a Claude 4 Sonnet model for that. Yes, revert. Here we go. So I'm kind of getting used to using Tracer, but Tracer does do a good job of getting that plan for you. Because now essentially what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do copy, and then I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to paste that in. Really good workflow there. A lot of maintenance features, but that's all right. They're important, Okay, let's see here. Yes. The mobile menu needs to be updated. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Really appreciate the support. Yesterday we had our best stream of the series, which is crazy to think about. Gonna have another great day today is all I gotta say. Gonna be going for 4 to 5 hours again. I think that's gonna be my new stream schedule, is like 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to around 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's a good schedule that I got down. But yeah, I mean, My dream is that in 3.5 months, we're going to be able to go out to Austin, Texas, and do all this from Austin, Texas. I'd like to see if I can get some VC capital or at least make some really good partnerships for View Creator. But I do believe that View Creator is essentially, the next thing that we're going to be working on in a big way. Obviously, we've been working on it for this 11th day that we've been working on it on stream. Let's see there. We got this error here. Shweba said, do you pay for both Claude and GPT Max subs, or which models do you use? So yeah, that's a good question. So I just use the Cursor Ultra plan, and as soon as I upgraded to Cursor Ultra, I actually once I upgraded to Cursor Ultra, I stopped hitting any rate limits, because essentially what happened was I was using Claude 4.1 Opus, and I racked up a $300 bill on Cursor like an idiot. I racked up a $300 bill last month outside of my subscription. So, you guys probably understand that. Here's where I'm at this month. So I do have the Ultra plan, and it looks like I've spent $52 this month so far for Ultra. So I have, I've essentially spent $250. But the way that I look at it is that, hey, if you have a team of developers working for you, you're spending a lot more than $250. You're spending, at Bright Choice, when I had a team over there, it was pretty expensive. And I would say that I was one of the more productive developers on the team. As you guys know, I wrote 2 million lines of code in 6 months for that product. And, it was just an absolute thrill. It was pretty cool because I was working with some really smart engineers, and they would say, hey, I found these bugs and here's what you need to do. And it was just pretty cool because I would just stay up till like 4 a.m. and get everything that they told me to do done. Like they would, because I'm more of like a less experienced developer, obviously, than somebody that's been a developer for, 25, 30 years. It was pretty cool to work with these guys, and they would say, hey, we need to be focused in on this. And that's where I learned that's where a lot of my programming experience and development experience came from, is from working with people that were smarter than I am and that have more experience than I am. They were essentially my mentor. And there was this one guy in particular, his name was Jeff, and he just had a terrific impact on me. Great guy. But yeah. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. We're going to be going for 4 or 5 hours today again, running it back. Let's see here. So we have this error here. We'll fix it once this is done, but let's not mess with it for now. But what I was saying with my Cursor subscription, though, is that, the using 4.1 Opus is kind of a complete waste of money, in my opinion. Rob said that the labor cost for the AI is outrageously so cheap. Yeah, labor cost versus AI cost is like not even... you can't even compare it. It's like, yeah. Shweba said, why did you start vibe coding over hardening your actual coding skills? What motivated you to get into this still new area of AI usage? Yeah, so that's a great question. So basically, I started transitioning to use AI more in the programming process as soon as GPT 3.5 came out. So I had actually been programming for a while, and I had been programming just normally, obviously. And I saw the potential of ChatGPT, and I started thinking to myself, they're saying that, you know what it actually was? It was seeing the difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and GPT-4. If you guys remember ChatGPT 3.5, it was like super, super fast, not very smart. and GPT-4 was noticeably more intelligent. So it was just very interesting to, see that difference. And it was actually that difference between GPT 3.5 and GPT-4 that made me think to myself, I thought, wow, this is probably the future. So to answer your question, Shweba, when I started realizing that vibe coding was the way to go is when I saw that difference, and I thought to myself, hey, let's say that, I had been programming, for a couple years, but nothing like crazy. I went to school for finance, and so I wasn't a crazy programmer. And I thought to myself, I said, I wonder if actually programming with AI is going to be the future. And I wonder if it's better to learn how to really learn those workflows with programming with AI rather than programming just on my own, right? I was like, well, if there's another model that comes out after GPT-4 that's smarter and faster than GPT-4, then that means that every time a new model comes out, then my coding skills get better. And I was talking about this yesterday in yesterday's stream, just about this idea that there was this one day in particular that I remember. It was the day that O1 came out, so it was September 12th, 2024. And, OpenAI said, hey, there's a new model coming out today. And I had been working a lot that day in particular. Okay, here's our update. Let's make sure that everything's good on this. Still no cursor effects. Is there... Okay, we'll need to take a look at that. We'll fix it. But, I was working on this feature at the time. I was working on Bright Choice, and I was working on a very particular feature, and it was a difficult feature. And I had been working for maybe 6 hours using GPT-4. Actually, it was 4.0. GPT-4.0 is what I was using. And I'd been working for about 6 hours on this feature. And O1 released it like in the middle of the day, basically. And what happened was I used O1, and O1, it was actually O1 preview technically at the time. And O1 preview was able to get it in one shot. So that is another thing that reinforced my belief in vibe coding as the future, is that I saw the difference between GPT-4.0 and then O1. And I was like, well, that's another huge jump. And then Cursor came out with its agentic features. When did Cursor, let's actually look that up. When did Cursor actually release? Did Cursor release their agentic feature? Yeah. I mean, how crazy is this? So Cursor released its agentic feature as part of the 0.43 update on November 24th, 2024. And just think about this. Think about in the past several years how much further all of this technology has come. And it's going further in several different ways. It's not just one. It's going further in terms of the actual models are getting better. And then it's also going further in terms of the tools that are then applying these models are getting better. So people are building on top of the models, obviously like how Cursor does. Wait, give me 1 second. So, it's just this interesting ideology that, hey, in another couple years, where are things going to be? And that's where it piques my interest. And I was talking about this yesterday as well, just about the concept of the book Outliers. And in Outliers, it talks about Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, and something that Steve Jobs and Bill Gates had in common is that they were in their early 20s, coming out of college. They were young, and they were at the perfect age when computers started to really become a thing, and when software started to really become a thing, to the point where they could really maximize it, if that makes sense. So they essentially got lucky for when they were born. And sometimes I feel the same way because, I am 23. When ChatGPT came out, I was 20. I was 20 years old. And honestly, it's kind of like a watershed moment for me because it literally changed my life. I dropped out of college. I decided to take a risk, and I saw, this is just, I just remember just thinking to myself, like, this is the future, and things have worked out in different ways than I would have expected initially, with Bright Choice and then everything that I'm doing now. But that's okay. Things usually don't work out the way that you initially anticipated. I think that if you have your eyes set on a goal or a dream or something like that, and you continue to work towards it through the ups and downs and through whatever barriers come your way, I think that you will succeed. But it is very rare for people to essentially have a dream and then have their dream work out exactly the way that they were picturing it. Like, usually if you have a dream, you may accomplish your dream. It may end up looking a little bit different than you anticipated, though. Keck said, is this Next.js pages router? Yeah, it is. Yeah. So we have an error. Oops. So let's see if we still are getting that. Yeah, perfect. Okay, so if you guys see what we did there, pretty much what happens is this dashboard page is now auth guarded. So here, I'm accessing the page because I have a session. So if I do refresh a bunch and go to a bunch of different pages and whatnot, I'm allowed to access this page because I'm authenticated. But if I open up incognito and launch the website, I'm not authenticated. I'm not signed in or anything. So if I try to go to that root dashboard, essentially what happens is it actually routes me back. You can see that it does sign in next this, let's make this a little bit more user-friendly. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. I don't know if you guys knew this. Obviously, returning subscribers know, but this channel is growing very fast, and I believe that there's a lot of potential in it. And I just want to thank you all for your support. And your support is literally just being here. It's liking the videos, it's subscribing, it's being here. And I just want you guys to know that, I'm pretty serious about this. And, with everything that I see on my end, I'll just share my perspective on it. It's like, all I'm doing is I would be doing this regardless. I don't think of myself as a content creator at all. But, look at this. Look at the last 90 days. And see, this is the trajectory of essentially my work. This is what I've been working towards. And how amazing is this? It's pretty cool to have something like this. So, my point with that is just, hey, I really appreciate you guys for supporting and for being here and for joining me in this journey. And I do, I have had startup and business experience and a lot of entrepreneurial experience at a young age. And I have a awareness for when things are, starting to churn, if that makes sense. Like I have an awareness of, hey, is this going to work? When should I stop doing this and switch to something else? And I just want you guys to know that with what I'm seeing, I am fully anticipating this to really work out in a big way. So my point with that is thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for liking and subscribing. And my goal is that after I finish my degree, because I've shared this on the channel before, but I did drop out of college. I was studying finance and I dropped out, and I started an online therapy platform called Bright Choice, and I ended up going in a different direction. But I did decide, because I had so few credit hours left to actually complete, that the smartest thing for me to do was that while I was starting my next business, which is BridgeMind, that I should finish my degree. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I actually have to commute to Purdue University, and I essentially am, finishing out my last, it's 13 credit hours. So once I finish my degree, it's my plan, and what I'd like to do is I would like to be able to go to Austin, Texas, and see what type of connections we can make. Some partnerships, whether that's VC or marketing groups that we'll be able to partner with. But I think it's going to be really, really interesting. Kevin Bazile asked, can we pair program? I just finished my session. You can program along with me. I hope you guys are programming along with me. Edit Z asked what happened to Bright Choice. So with Bright Choice, Bright Choice was interesting. So I was there for over a year, and like I shared, we scaled it to over 30 therapists, and I had to write 2 million lines of code in 6 months. And what ended up happening with Bright Choice is it was in a highly competitive market. So you had people like Talkspace, you had BetterHelp in there, and something that I'll share with you guys just as an example. So check this out. So as you guys know, this is a tool called SEMrush, and we actually have been using SEMrush for View Creator because it's something that you want to always check of, hey, what is the niche that I'm in? What does it look like? What's the demand? What's the competition look like? So I just want you guys to look at some of this. So look at this. Let's find like a really good keyword. Just any of these really. So for example, image to video AI free, AI image to video generator free. You guys can see that there's about 2,900 searches for those a month. And then the most important thing is the keyword difficulty, because what the keyword difficulty is essentially how many people are competing for that. So the more competitors that have this keyword that they're targeting, the higher that the keyword difficulty is going to be. So if you look at this one, image to video AI, that one's huge volume, 18,000, keyword difficulty 45. So now let's do a little, also something to note is the cost per click is really important. So you can see here the cost per click is 97 cents. So every time that you sponsor this keyword and somebody clicks on it on Google, it's gonna cost 97 cents. And I'm gonna show you guys what it looks like for Bright Choice. So we're gonna look up one of the keywords that we targeted in our marketing campaigns, online therapy. So check this out. So the volume was 33,000 and the keyword difficulty was 77. And then look at this one, therapy online. Volume, 22,000. Keyword difficulty, 79. And let's take that a step further. How much is the cost per click? Where is it? Cost per click, no data on the cost per click here. Let's go to therapy online. Is there cost per click data? Yep. So this is accurate. It cost us $18. So it says $18 here, but I'll give you guys the exact numbers. It was over $20 a click for us to sponsor online therapy and therapy online. So for example, when we went to market, we had a very difficult time competing with some of these bigger names like BetterHelp and Talkspace that had these huge marketing budgets where they were so big that they could afford to spend that much money on those keywords. But when you're a startup, it is very challenging to have to spend $20 a click on a keyword. And then the problem is if then, like let's say that they then don't convert, then you're in trouble. So what ended up happening is it was just super competitive space, very, very hard to actually break into that market without significant, you need significant capital. And what's interesting, and I don't want to get too into the weeds, but if we pull up like Yahoo Finance and go to Teladoc. So Teladoc is the company that owns BetterHelp. They're a publicly traded company, and check this out. So something that's really interesting is that Teladoc launched BetterHelp, and you can see back in 2021 that it was a $98 stock, because the pandemic drove all this demand for online therapy. And very interesting, to see how that ended up playing out. It's now a $7 stock. It's crazy. But yeah, definitely like when you're doing this stuff, it's not just the programming that we're focused on, guys. And that's something that I want to iterate is because of my past entrepreneurship and startup experience, there's things that are apart from the stream and that you guys see that you're not seeing behind the scenes that I am working on. And a lot of it's related to marketing because we're going to have to grind on the marketing. But View Creator is definitely going to be big. Kevin said, I just followed you on TikTok. I usually live stream there and it's easier to join and have a multi-session. We should do a community OSS stream where we could all pair program. That actually would be pretty cool. That's a good idea. Kevin, if you have Discord, you should join the Discord and you know, then you can DM me. Usually I answer all the DMs on Discord. Rob said competing in PPC is really hard. Yeah, organic SEO takes years. Yeah, depending on how good your SEO strategy actually is, for sure. Okay, let's check this real quick. Okay, so that's done. Car Lover said, do you know how to code? Just curious. Yeah, I do know how to code, but in recent years, it's so much better to just go all in on vibe coding, in my opinion, that, you know, that's where we're at now. On to Leave said, hello, brother. What are we discussing today? We're working on View Creator again, and right now we're actually working on some of the auth system. So we just did that logic. So now if we do dashboard, it's gonna be able to redirect me. So let's go here. I actually want to make this redirect URL a little bit more friendly. Could you please make this URL more friendly? So for example, if the user tries to access the dashboard and they're not authenticated, I want the essentially the URL to be more user-friendly and more descriptive. For example, it should have better parameters of, you know, where they got redirected from and why, for example. So please look at this and update the logic to have better parameters here. I don't like what currently is implemented. Rob said, yeah, and the demand is unwinding. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. Carl Lover asked, what does View Creator do? So View Creator is an AI-powered social media platform where you're able to create viral social media content in seconds. So we have a couple really good features with templates and then agentic functionality. I'll show you guys later in the stream. Right now we're working on some of the auth system stuff, and I want to make sure that we're locked in on that for a bit until we move on to another feature, because we need to make sure that those are set pretty well. Duplicate identifier with, okay. Oh. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. All right. So it's updating the sign up route as well. Let's double check sign up and make sure that when we sign up that, I think it's plus 18, I think we're at now. On the sign up page, please remove the requirement to enter your password twice, and please add an eye icon and an eye/icon to make it so that users can actually view their password. Oh, shoot. On the sign up page, please remove the requirement of entering your password twice, and instead, please add an eye and an eye/icon so that they can actually view their password. Rob said it's a hell of a time to be in that business, though. What do you mean, Rob? All right, so something that I also want to implement is I want to implement the ability for people to authenticate using Google. So we're going to have to update our user entity to add in that. Let's just test this real quick. Yep. Cool. So let's make sure. So where's my apps plus 18? Oops. test this. All right. All right, let's do this. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked the video, subscribed, make sure you do so. All right, so yes. Actually, what do you guys think about the redirect there? I don't know how I feel about that, but yeah, it looks like it works. Generates the JBT now that we're working with, which is good. I actually don't have a user rules set up for this this project. Car Lover asked, how did I make $51 until now? So we're working on 2 other products before this one. We worked on an app called Goalpost, which we launched to the App Store and Google Play Store in like 10 days, I think. And then we also launched the BridgeMind AI Academy and got some money from that. But right now we're focused solely on View Creator, as that has the most potential out of all the stuff that we're working on. Take a look now at the nav bar and the mobile nav bar. Right now the mobile nav bar does not match up with the actual nav bar, so you need to actually update the mobile nav to be an exact replica of the actual nav bar in the website layout. Please review this logic and make sure that you integrate the correct update. All right, update the nav bar, because right now if I shrink this and I go here, it's like totally outdated. So Kevin asked, do you have an EMV file already? Yep, I do. In the DB, is it a third party? So it's not, so I use pgadmin. So how I develop locally is I just use Postgres. So for example, here is what my pgadmin looks like. And then for example, I connect to RDS. I have it in AWS, so I connect to RDS. Car Lover asked, were those 2 apps built by Vibe Coding? Yep, they were. I'm gonna take this 1 second, guys. Take this hoodie off. Okay. Okay. That's better. Update the user's mouse so that on hover over the links, it's a cursor for both the nav bar and then also the mobile display as well. All right, update that. Okay. Update this section on the home page to make it so that it actually pulls in blogs from the database. There is a route for this that already exists. Please look at the blog page for reference. All right. Let's make sure that those... I don't know why there's not like a good cursor effect. I think the underlines are impacting it, but that's all right. Okay, that's all right. I'm gonna use the restroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. If you haven't already liked the video and subscribed, make sure you do so. We're gonna be going for like, looks like close to 4 more hours. So, yeah, let's go. We got errors. Got some errors. Okay. Why? All right, we're good. Fix this error that you caused. What? Home blog. Okay. In the app layout, you need to make the sidebar have less width and be more compact in modern. Also, I'm not sure why the links are like kind of purple with the active effect. That doesn't follow the theme. Also, please think deeply about how you can make this layout more modern and compact. Right now, the sidebar takes up way too much width. That's not a best practice. So please review this and fix and make it super modern. Okay, Kevin said, okay, that JWT token step, I know it sounds stupid, but can you refresh my memory on how you implemented it if you have some time to explain that logic? Yeah, so JWT tokens, how it works is with an auth system, let's say somebody logs in, right? You have a lot of options about how you want to store user state management and how you want to handle authentication inside of an application. So with an API, typically the best practice is for like an enterprise level application, you're using something like AWS Cognito or Auth or Okta, for example. But in this application, we've actually built our own authentication system. And so that means that we are totally in full control of essentially how we handle user authentication. So how we did it is we made it so that when users sign up or when they log in, a JWT token is created. And instead of storing that JWT token in something like local storage or session storage, which isn't secure because it's accessible via JavaScript, instead you store it in secure site-only HTTP cookies, so that every time that a user makes a request to your API, that JWT is in the bearer request. So essentially what happens is you have this API and a front end is making requests to this API, right? So it's making a request, and you can make it so that your API, if it doesn't have the JWT token, it's not going to be able to get in if it doesn't have a valid JWT. And JWT tokens are actually secure because they essentially contain that user object. So for example, they'll contain things like the user ID, the user role, maybe the user email, depending on what your application actually needs. But it will have that information inside of the JWT. And what your API does is you'll have things like user guards or auth guards, user decorators in Nest. And let's say you have a controller it's a root at, like, for example, this root here, templates, or this root, agents. What you do is you actually put a guard on that controller so that users can't access it unless they're authenticated. And then, for example, like, think about more like private applications. Like, let's say that we built a feature here, or just take the credit system, for example. Credits are related to how many credits does the user have in their account, right? Well, how does the backend know how many credits that the user has. Well, they know how many credits the user has because when the user accesses the API, they can get through because they have a JWT, so then they get kind of like through here, they get through the first guard, and then they get to the controller, and the controller has a user guard or a user decorator on it that then decodes the JWT and grabs the user ID out of it, and then it takes that user ID and passes it into another service function that then does the action and returns how many credits the user has. So that's how it works. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to be somebody that makes things sound more complex than they are to make myself look better, because it's really not that complex. Can you make this icon a little bit smaller and more modern and professional? If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do that. That's better. Okay. App layout. So we just need a little bit more compact, more professional. Does look better. Like that. So the next thing we need to do is we need to build a really good rate limiting system. Let's go over here. Let's go back to Tracer. How can we make this? J35, how's it going? What's up? What's cooking? Right now we're working on our Auth system. The next thing that I need to do is I need to build a really good rate limiting system into my back end. Right now, I don't even think that I have a rate limiting system, and some routes in the application need to be rate limited for security. Like, for example, anything related to signing up or signing in or forgot password. I need to rate limit this stuff. So help me build a really good rate limiting system and a rate limiting guard, for example. Think through the plan and the best practice for what we need to do and output the plan. Right. So we're going to do that. So we're going to build rate limiting because with rate limiting, that's definitely a big security feature. I don't want to get absolutely hammered by script kiddies or people that are trying to change the password of somebody's account. And if I don't rate limit, for example, like the forgot password logic, then it's going to be an issue. J35 said Mr. Dedicated back with another stream. Hey, appreciate it, man. J35, we, I don't know, we had a great stream yesterday. We gained like over 100 subs yesterday. The stream yesterday had over, close to 200 hours of watch time now. Close to 200 hours, which is incredible. So thanks for all the support, guys. Doing stuff like liking and subscribing goes a long way. Like, kind of keeps me going. So I appreciate you guys for all that support. Okay, so we're gonna do a rate limiter. The problem is that most of the stuff that we're doing right now is on the back end, and so we don't really need to see the UI. So let me open this up so that you guys can actually see what we're doing a little bit better. What happens if I do that with Tracer? Okay. So Tracer's thinking, but what we're going to do is we're going to generate a rate limiter. We're using Tracer right now. So what Tracer is it's essentially another step before you actually code. So before we integrate any code, we've passed in our prompt to Tracer. And essentially what's going to happen is tracer is going to take that in. It thinks through our project, and it's essentially an additional step on top of cursor, where you're able to generate a plan based off of the prompt before that even comes in. So it's really useful. Kevin said, oh, okay, thank you. JWT never understood why that was important. It's an extra measure of security. Yeah. Rob said, if the RDS database has a public endpoint and is not inside your VPC, that is something to consider too, but not super important, I guess, because Stripe is handling super sensitive stuff. So, yeah, that's a good point, Rob, to answer your question. It's not public, so it does have an endpoint, right? So databases, they do have endpoints, but the thing is that you can set up your security group rules so that only specific security groups can actually get into them. So, for example, how you set it up is, let's say that you have your database, right? And you have your database inside of it's in a security group, right? So you have a security group that's for your database, and then you have a security group for your front-end load balancer that is essentially, so when you're using something like ECS or Fargate, you have ECS service running, and usually how I like to set it up is I like to have a load balancer on top of that. And what load balancers are is essentially, with load balancers, that's your public access point for people that are using your web application. So you have your UI over here, you have your API here, you have your database here, and then on the API you have an additional, I wish I had like a do you guys know like how people have like the drawing tools on their computer? You know what I'm talking about? I need one of those. Drawing tool. Let's see if ChatGPT, we'll get a, that would be pretty cool. I am making a live stream right now, and I want to figure out if I can find any tools where I can like essentially draw, kind of like how Khan Academy does it. Do you know how, if there are any websites that allow you to do this? Quick ChatGPT, see if we can get this. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Real-time online whiteboards. Okay. Let's see this one. Okay. Okay, so I can use this. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right. So yeah, so pretty much how it works is, okay, you have your UI right here. Wait, can I get rid of this? All right. You have your UI here. You have your API. API here. And then you have your database. And then the database has actually a load balancer on top of it. So your UI, anybody can access this, totally open, right? Not everybody can access this. You can't access the API, right? So what you have to do is your UI accesses the load balancer, and then the load balancer can in turn access this. And then the API accesses the database. And then your database, you actually set up security rules as well on your database so that, for example, you can access it on your local machine by allowing SSH into it. You can SSH into it. Gotta fix a couple things here. But yeah, security groups are pretty important. Is draw.io better? Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to access, let people access it. Properly run the please fix this. J35 said, with this quick growth, you might receive a call from Austin, Texas soon. That's what I'm saying, man. Kevin said, you made a valid point, but to be honest, he just has to protect against injection. Let's actually ask ChatGPT real quick. Dan asked, what's the planning extension that you're using? So it's Tracer. Tracer, this is how it's spelled. Just dropped it in. Help me understand injection attacks, and please provide a brief summary of what they are and the best ways to protect against them. All right, injection attacks happen when untrusted input is sent into a program in a way that tricks it into executing unintended commands or queries. The attacker injects malicious data into something like a database query, operating system command, or even an API call. SQL injection, malicious SQL code inserted into a query to read, modify, or delete database data. Command injection. Attacker injects shell commands into an app that executes them on the server. Cross-site scripting, injecting JavaScript into web applications to run in another user's browser. So the best ways to protect against this is to use parameterized queries. So I'm pretty sure TypeORM actually has some pretty good... it has pretty good controls over this and protections already. Yeah. So for example, use ORM or query builders carefully. Frameworks often handle parameterization for you. So by using TypeORM, you actually protect against a lot of these things. Right now, we're going to do rate limiting, and then we're going to plan out how to do protect against injection, and then we're also going to do... we're going to take a look at our logging system, and we're going to try and see if we can actually improve our logging system. If you guys haven't already liked the stream and subscribed, and you feel like supporting the channel, just so you know, it means a lot to me. So we're at 2,360 subscribers right now. The channel's growing really fast, but yeah, if you haven't done that already, make sure you do so. Rob said, if the backend is behind auth guards, I think you're good, and make sure to use prepared statements with your SQL query, I think. Yeah, we'll take another look at it and just make sure. But yeah, Rob, I really like your mindset, Rob. It seems to me like, yeah, I just think that you've got a good mindset. I can tell. It's like, you can, even like for me, you know, when people are making comments and stuff, I can tell who has like kind of like a pessimistic view versus an optimistic mindset, if that makes sense. Like some people are very like, you can't do this, you can't do this. And I'm like, well, I'd rather fail believing that I can do something than believing that I can't do something and never try, if that makes sense. I usually do have issues with this running for some reason. Rate limiting, the Nest throttler is always weird. It's always got issues. There we go. Thank you. All right, there's our rate limiting system. please take a look at the existing logging system. Right now, I would like you to review this because I actually want to build a better logging system so that I can debug better, and so that basically I'll have kind of like a best practice logging system. So please take a look at the existing logging system and then help me improve it. I'd like to use Winston, and I'd like to basically create a scalable way for my project to handle logs in the best way possible. So please review the current implementation and then think deeply about how we can improve it and areas that we're missing out on, and think through how to create the best practice logging system that we can without doing too much. I want to make it simple but also really powerful. So please do in-depth analysis of the existing implementation and generate a plan of how we can improve it and what we need to update to improve it. Okay. So now we're going to do logging. File is locked here. Cool. All right. I'm going to add these to my environment variables. 1 second. I would love to show you guys my environment variables, but not today. All right. Kevin, that's a really good point. How do I stop the script kiddies? What's the best way to stop that? Let's look it up, because I can't stand it, to be honest. What is the best way, for example, in a Nest.js API to protect against script kiddies? Are we already using Helmet? We're not using Helmet. Let's use Helmet. Okay. Rob, good points. Yeah, I don't like the noise of script kiddies. That's usually the most annoying thing. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Be going for a couple more hours. Let's check Tracer to see if it generated that plan yet for our logging. How are we currently doing roles? Let's see. Okay. Go Zoot, what's up? Welcome to the stream. Kevin said, make sure audit packages, and he's doing some research on ECR. Rob said, just make sure the node IP is not exposed publicly, and I think on the API someone needs to know the exact request body, I think, and then hammer it to hit you hard. Oh, yeah. Pluto, what's up? How's it going? Pluto, right now we're working on View Creator. So I'm not sure if you've seen this project. We've been working on it since day 20. But with View Creator, it's an AI-powered social media platform where you're able to create viral social media content in seconds. Today, the main thing that we're working on is authentication and security. So we are working on that right now. Right now we're working on a better logging system, and then we're looking at maybe how we can protect against script kiddies. So we're going to integrate Helmet after this. We've got our rate limiting, which Rob basically said, basically somebody can make an account, grab that cookie, and then make API requests with post body. But I think the rate limiting is going to help with that, because it's going to help mitigate brute force login attempts and API abuse. Dagger, what's up? Good to see you again. Rob said you got to be a motivated little shitball. It's funny. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked the stream, make sure you do so. Yeah, Rob said set the origin so your backend services only accept API calls from your front-end domain. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure that people can still get through that because, I mean, they can just run JavaScript in the browser on that domain, can't they? If somebody's really motivated. Why is this taking so long for a plan? All right, we're going to move on from that. Tyler asked, what specifically are you working on? Right now, we're just working on authentication. So we just did rate limiting. So we implemented Nest Throttler on a couple of our sensitive routes. And now we need to think through our logging system. But I don't know why this took... this has been like 5 minutes on this singular stop plan iteration. Let's go back here. Yeah, Tracer is not doing great. Let's just drop this in here. All right. Tracer adds too much time to the request is one downside of Tracer for sure. It just adds too much time. Tyler, I use Cursor. We're using Cursor right now. What is the main thing that Helmet does? I know Helmet's important. I've used it on another project. Great, please now review the project and integrate the code respectively. Create an in-depth plan before you actually integrate and update. Tyler, we've been working on this project since day 20. We built an app in 10 days, and then we built the BridgeMine platform, and then we also built this in 10 days. I'm not a big fan of Codex. Kevin said that depending on the browser, they'll run into a browser restriction on cookies. So maybe the only thing I could say is breadcrumb and leave data. They can't do nothing with you if you can't secure everything. You should be good though. Wait, I'm not understanding. What do you mean, Kevin? If you guys are watching and haven't already liked the stream and subscribed, make sure you do so. Schweba said, sub, good content and nice stream. Hey, thank you, appreciate it. Rovidex, hey, how's it going, Rovidex? Good to see you. Rovidex asked, when is it coming out? I think we got a couple more days on it. I would say that September is the target date. Continue. Yeah, we want to launch this in September for sure, but I would say that I see so much potential with this project that, you know, we've jumped around a little bit in this series. We've worked on Goalpost, we've worked on the BridgeMine platform, and now we've landed on this. And my thinking on this is, after looking at some of the keyword data in the market, this is a huge space, and it's actually a space that's like pretty much wide open, because in my opinion, what's happening is you have models that are coming out like Nano Banana or VO3, where the price for these content generation is coming down and the quality is going up. So I think we're gonna have essentially like this ChatGPT-like moment with AI content generation, because what's gonna happen is there's gonna be this inflection point where it's cheap enough and good enough to actually create the content with AI. So that's why I'm kind of going all in on this one. We're going to spend our $10,000 marketing budget on this project. I'm super excited about it. Let's see here. What error did we get? Fix this error. Oh no. Oh yeah. We're good. The logs are going to be a lot better now. Do not look at or touch my EMV, but what EMV variables do I need to set with this update that you've made? Thanks whoever just subbed. We're at 2,365 subscribers now. Crazy. Going up. I meant only for the logging related logic that you just created. Please give me a nice TXT file that I can just copy. All right, I don't want it to expose a bunch of sensitive information, so. All right. Here we go. So let's see how our logs look. And test it just with refresh, dashboard. Please integrate Helmet into the API. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. I think we've done enough for now on the security portion. Let's now integrate Google, the ability to actually connect with Google. Let's do this. Start a new chat. What are the top apps that users like to authenticate with? So for example, like with some websites, I'm able to authenticate with Google. What are the top apps or products that people like to authenticate with? Let me use the bathroom real quick, guys. I'll be right back. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, let's go. All right, let's get. All right, for now, let's just do Google. All right. Please take a look at my sign up page. Right now, I only offer authentication and signing in or signing up through like local email and password. But I actually want to offer a new way to sign up, which is signing up and signing in with Google. So take a look at my entities, the user entity specifically, and then take a look at the API and help me think through how I would need to update the code to actually allow users to sign up and sign in with Google. Do not look at my environment variables. I'll handle that, but think through what environment variables I will need to implement this functionality and help me create a plan to create this functionality. Oh wow, what caused that? You guys notice that? When did that happen? Rob just asked, when is that triathlon? So I actually had that triathlon. It was, I think, 2 weekends ago. Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. So it's been 2 weeks since I did the tri, but I biked 20 miles this morning before I started streaming. And I've decided that I'm going to start training for an Ironman in probably Boulder, Colorado. I'd like to do an Ironman. All right. Here's our strategy. Execute and cursor. And let's actually use Claude 4 Sonnet Thinking Max. Rob said, dope, bro. Love that you got to stay healthy and balanced to execute. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Wow, look at all the to-dos that we have. Oh my gosh. Claude 4 Sonnet getting put to the test right now. All right, so the user entity, just changed the password hash to nullable, added a provider, defaults to local, it's a text, then it added a Google ID, it's nullable, it's got to be unique, it's a string. It's looking good to me, guys. It's incredible how much better the tools are getting. It's incredible. Truly incredible. All right, so here are the environment variables I'm gonna need to set up. So you got a Google Client ID, a Google Client Secret, a Google Callback URL, and then a front-end Auth redirect. Oh, but you know what the problem is? Is that When users sign up with Google, it's going to mess up our front end flow, because when they sign up, they're not necessarily going to be redirected back to the sign up page with the logic. We're going to need to do something there for sure. Let's let this do its thing, and then we'll figure that out when we get there. Parth asked, which extension did you use to create the task? I used Tracer. Okay. Schweba just asked, what are you eating? I'm eating carrots. If you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Right now I'm kind of locked in, focused on this Google sign-in and sign-up feature, but I'm still watching the chat. Just locked in right now. Still issues here. All right, 1 second. Update my environment variables. Fix this error. Cool. Okay, so now I need to go into the Google Cloud Console. I am now in the Google Cloud Console. Would you please walk me through what I need to do to actually set this up correctly? For example, I need to set up those environment variables. Never look at my environment variables, but instruct me on what to do in Google Cloud Console to get these. So I have to go to project, and then I have to search up, it says the Google Plus API. for step 1, which is it? Is it Google Plus or is it Google People? All right, don't do Google Plus, okay. So Google Plus API was deprecated and shut down in 2019, and the Google People API is the one that is the modern API for accessing user profile information. Okay. Okay. So step 2, go to API and services. I'm there. I can't show you guys this because it's kind of like sensitive, so, but I'm doing it on my other monitor. Maybe I should show you guys. Hold up. You guys want to see the setup? I'll show you guys the setup. Watch this. I can actually go here and click plus, and I can do, I think it's capture, it's video capture device. And then I can do device, this camera. Check this out, guys. This is what it looks like behind the scenes. You guys are getting behind the scenes look here. That's how things look. Oh yeah. Check this out. Okay, so Google People enabled. All right, so go to API and services, yes. OAuth consent screen, okay, in there. Oh, it says the Auth platform is not configured yet, so I have to do that. App, so I put in the app name, user support email. Audience. What do I select at this step? Actually, I think I can show this to you guys, so I'm going to show you guys. Well, that's what I'm seeing here. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. So it says you should select external. All right. All right, so I just created that. So now it says create the credentials. Wait, scopes. Missed that one. Now what do I do? Parth said, looks awesome, really cool setup, thank you. Yeah, it's chill. All right, upload an image. Yeah, I've got the logo somewhere in here. Application homepage. Provide the links for this. Please remember that my domain is www.viewcreator.ai. I love AI. Oh my gosh. I mean, what did we even do before this? Authorized domains, oh gosh. Okay. Now what? I'm pretty sure that you guys can see this. Let you guys in on the deets here. Oops. Oh wow, okay. We have our stuff. Let me grab this and get this in the environment variables. So you have a client ID, and then you have a client secret. Amazing. Okay. All right, so I did that. Now, now what? I mean, the craziest part about all this, and I haven't been able to show this because it is sensitive, but, you know, it's like, oh, geez, are you kidding me? But the point that I was making was that, you know, I feel like I can, and I'm saying this just me personally, I mean, I think you can as well, but just the limits that, the things that you're able to do now with AI is just incredible. There's just very few actual limits to what we're able to do now because the AI is so good. I mean, I just set up a integration that, I mean, how much time did it take for us to set that up? You know? So let's do start free trial, continue with Google. Access blocked if you are over this valid client. Okay. What caused this? Oh, maybe I have to restart my environment variables. Okay, restarted. Start free trial, continue with Google. Yes. Continue. Failed. Why did this fail? Looks good. I like how the continue with Google looks. I'm gonna take this away. Here's the setup. Pretty cool. So it said, add missing JWT secret. That shouldn't be true. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick. I'll be right back. Alright. So it says missing JWT token. I'm like 99% sure that I have a JWT. As you can see from this screenshot, I am 100% certain that this secret is set. Do not look at my EMV file or touch it, but what is causing the error if this already is in there? If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Right now we're working on finalizing this Google configuration. Okay, hold on. So it wants me to restart. Restart it. Open this up. Also, that error, I just realized it could be happening because that user already exists in the database. So let me delete that user. And we'll see if... Actually, before we delete it, let's test to see if that fixed it. Continue with Google. Failed. Now let's see if I delete it, if anything different happens. Just deleted it. Continue. Auth failed. The heck? What about if I sign up normally? Oh, geez. All right. Shame on you. All right, so we just absolutely ripped our friggin' auth system apart, unfortunately. Ladrema said, hello, bro. I am just coming across your channel, and I'm already loving your energy. I am Gilbert from Africa. I will love to vibe code, but I don't know how to go about it. Well, welcome to the stream. First of all, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it. So I would say you just got to start doing it. You know, you got to think of a project that you want to work on, that would excite you to work on, and then just start working on it. And, you know, you'll get better as time goes. And yeah, it's like anything that you start for the first time, you know, it's difficult, but, you know, you'll 100% get the hang of it. I mean, anybody can do this, seriously. So I hope that, you know, me doing this helps you guys out, just seeing the workflow and everything. So it looks like I actually broke my auth system. So... It says sign-in success, though. It does say sign-in success. Oh. you guys are watching, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. All right, let's see here. Oh, interesting. Looks like the account creation did work for Google. Yeah, I did. Okay, interesting. So something that I'm seeing right now, guys, is on my end, I can see that when we did test the continue with Google, looks like it did actually work, but there must just be some problem that we're having with, if we go to sign in, continue with Google, auth failed, callback error. Okay. Unfortunately, guys, I need to deal with like some sensitive information. So, man, I don't want to stop streaming, but I've got to figure out how to do this. So sorry if I don't show everything, but I need to deal with some of this stuff, figure out what's going on. Google auth callback error. All right, so watch this. Sign in. If I try and sign in with let's use Tracer and see if they can figure out what's going on. Why am I getting this bug on sign in? I am certain that I have my JWT set correctly, so I don't know what is causing this. I have just implemented, let's just, do not look at my environment variables, but please note that I am certain that the JWT secret is set properly. Thanks, J35. Hope you feel better. All right, so what we did was we generated essentially an analysis and then a plan in Tracer. And then, oh, cookie name? I don't want cursor to like go into my freaking environment variables and show on stream the environment variables, so I'm just gonna take this off screen for now. Somebody in chat said you got to sell the headphones for a quick revenue jump. That's funny. All right, guys, I'm going to end the stream because I've got to do stuff on my end that's just really sensitive. So I'm going to do that on my end and get this worked out. But we did get to the point where the continue with Google does work, but there's some issue with the JWT configuration that must have gotten off when we were doing those updates. So I'm going to take a look at it and make sure that I get this updated. But because it's all sensitive and stuff, I can't show it to you guys. So I don't want to waste your time. But I'll be back streaming on Tuesday, and my new stream schedule is mainly I'm going to start streaming around 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm going to try and start streaming for like 4 to 5 hours now. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Thanks for tuning in, and let's keep making progress, guys.